those?
I'm not a big fan of social media, but I understand that you have no choice but to, be invested and involved in it. I think that social media is becoming, an anarchy in and of itself, and that there's a sense of many people not having to be responsible for the words that they say because of the anonymity of social media, and it's become a very angry forum, and I don't really know that there's any hope for social media, because I think it just keeps getting worse, But
there are a lot of negatives.
Yeah, it's such a negative place, and we have an entire generation, and maybe two generations, is being raised with the idea that you can be snarky and mean
behind
to
people. The computer.
Yeah, on the computer, and it's okay. Because that they're being raised to believe that it's okay, and I think that then they take that behavior out into the world, and they're the same way in public, and I think that it's really dangerous, social media. I'm not a fan of it at all. But that said, yeah, I have social media platforms all over the place because you have no choice but to do that, and I have a YouTube channel that I just put up this last week, and I'm putting all of my videos up there. It's J. Randy Taraborrelli's YouTube channel, and
okay.
I've got a Twitter account. I've got 2 Facebook accounts. I'm involved as much as everybody else is, but I'm not a big fan of social media, not at all.
And I would think somebody like Beyonce or Michael Jackson wouldn't have been happy with the social media, just from the standpoint of, people will get a leaked song, then it'll be shared 1,000 times. So that could present the problem.
It does, but I also think that Beyonce's found a way to use social media to her great advantage. Her Instagram and, her Twitter accounts, she has, millions of followers, and she's able to sort of pick and choose what she wants to share with her fans. I think that if Michael Jackson had social media, he might have had a better time of defending himself. He might have had an easier time of reaching. I think so, because I think Michael was smart enough and shrewd enough to be able to understand how to use social media to his advantage. And I think he might have used it to put out whatever message he felt was not being accepted by the public. I think he would have used social media to his great advantage, but of course it's a double-edged sword, and social media would have been used against him as well, because it gives a voice to the angry, culture that feels that they need to be heard and that they have a right to be heard, And my feeling about social media is just because you have a computer doesn't mean that you deserve to have an opinion.
Right. It's so true.
So I think that for Michael, it would have been a double-edged sword, because the criticism he would receive on social media would be great, but he would be able to defend himself in a way that I think would have had a great advantage for him.
I believe that when he passed, there was social media, but nothing like it is 6 years later. You would agree, right?
Yeah, it's nothing like it is today. Yeah, and who knows what it's going to be like in 6 to 10 years from now.
Oh goodness, you might have to pay $5 a month or something like that.
Right.
But speaking of Michael Jackson and Beyonce, she looked up to Michael Jackson, right?
She did, Jordan, very much so. The first concert that Beyonce ever saw was a Michael Jackson concert, and throughout her childhood, the people who were grooming her and helping her,
she must have been really young.
Yeah, she was very young. She was 6 or 7 years old when she saw that first concert, and and she studied Michael Jackson videos for her entire life, when she was a youngster. I mean, she was, one of the first songs that she sang with her group Girls Time was "I Want to Be Where You Are."
Right.
Her parents, Matthew and Tina, were also big fans of Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5, and so she was hugely influenced. And then, of course, she had a chance to meet Michael several times, and she had an opportunity to get to know him, which brought her experience with Michael full circle.
Right, but as far as you know, they never worked together on a project, right?
Not as far as I know. No, I think that if they had, we most certainly would have heard about it.
Right. Another thing I wanted to ask you was, what age was she when she started singing and getting interested in becoming a showman, if you will, Beyonce? How old was she about?
Well, Beyonce was actually discovered when she was 8 years old.
8 years old?
She was singing at a Jewish community center in Houston when two women...
Jewish community center?
Yeah, Jewish community center.
That's odd.
I know, isn't it? And two women named Deborah Leday and Denise Seals discovered her. These women had never been interviewed before this book. They had never had a chance to even tell the story. Yeah, they were amazing to talk to for this book, and they gave us, the kinds of stories about early Beyonce that we never would have been able to talk about and write about if not for their cooperation. But that's how Beyonce was discovered, and what I was able to do with this book was talk to all the chief architects of her life and times, such as the women who discovered her and the family of the woman who first managed her and her first writer, her first producer, her first choreographer, the first girls that she sang with before Destiny's Child, the girls in Destiny's Child. I mean, we were able to talk to so many people who had never before told their stories, the real true pioneers of Beyonce's life and times. And that was what I really wanted to do with this book. That's why it's called Becoming Beyonce, because it traces the origins of how she became who she is today. And it pays tribute to all of the people who devoted time and energy and money and sacrificed for Beyonce from the time that she was just a little girl, from 8 years old until the present. And so that's a great opportunity for me as a biographer to be able to give those people a voice for the first time.
Interesting. Now, did you get a chance to interview her first boyfriend that she was with many years?
I did. I actually probably spent maybe 40 hours, at least 40 hours over the course of 2 years with Lyndall Locke, who is the guy that Beyonce was with before Jay-Z. But surprisingly, she's only had 2 relationships in her lifetime, and those 2 were. Is
that what she
Lyndall
said,
Locke.
or is that what you uncovered?
That's what I uncovered. It's both. I mean, she's never denied that, but
she could have had a little something in high school, right? Maybe, but not.
No, Jake,
real.
Lyndall Locke from the time that she was 12 until she was about 21. And then Jay-Z from the time that she was 22 until the present. And that's it. I mean, there's just nobody else, And Lyndall was a great source for us. I mean, I spent many, many, many hours with him, and he told me amazing stories about his life with Beyonce and what it was like watching her become a superstar. And they were just kids when they first started dating. So he was able to see her undergo this huge transformation, from being a simple country girl in Houston to becoming what she then became. And he told his story for the first time in this book, and it's a really good story. Yeah,
and with Christmas coming up, I would definitely encourage my audience to go ahead and get it. Now, do you have the download version, or how do you have your books? Do you have it always, or just the regular way, or?
Well, they're available in so many formats. I mean, there's the downloadable
Right.
version on that you can download it on Kindle or whatever your reading device is on from Amazon and from Barnes and Noble. And then, of course, you could buy the 17 CDs, which is the entire book being read, and you can listen to the entire thing. And it took 17 or 18 CDs to be able to do it all because it's such a big book. Yeah, or you can actually buy the hard copy of the book, like old timers like me would prefer to have a actual book in hand. So there's that option as well. There are so many different ways to read a book these days, and we make our books available in every format.
Right, and the like Aphrodite Jones, who writes a lot of books. She wasn't even familiar with this one that reads to you, so it's a little behind the times. So that's why I asked you. So you're up on the times in terms of that, right?
Yeah, I think so. I know Aphrodite, and I like her very much, and it makes me laugh to think that people like she and I have to work so hard to sort of stay current, because you really have no choice, because if you're not careful, it's going to pass you by, and so and on my team, we make really sure that we know exactly what we're doing, and we're reaching as many people as possible with my work.
She said on my show, and I quote, she said, there are very few book writers that make big money, i.e. Stephen King. She says it really takes, one out of maybe hundreds and hundreds of people, and I would think you're in that category. Would you say you're in that category, and would you agree with her statement?
Well, I definitely agree with her statement, and I mean, I don't know that I would be in the category of saying that I make the kind of money that Stephen King makes, but I've been supporting myself. I've been supporting myself as a writer for my entire life. From the time that I was 12 years old, I've been writing. But I will say this: if you go into this business of being a writer in order to make money, then you've gone into the wrong business. The only way that you ever make money in a writer is accidentally. You just have to be lucky. You've got to be persistent. I've written books that no one bought. You've got to be tenacious. You have to be willing to sacrifice.
Don't you have to have strong skin to deal with some of the negative people?
Oh, you do. You've got to have a thick skin, and I used to have a thick skin. I don't have it anymore. I had a much thicker skin, even 10 years ago, but social media has kind of eroded my thick skin, but you definitely need to have one. Or you have to just be careful with what you allow to be in your sphere of consciousness. You don't have to go to Amazon and read your book reviews, in other words. I mean, I don't ever, so there are ways to have a nice life, be a writer, make a living, and not have to worry about having a thick skin, because we're all responsible for what we allow within our purview, in terms of what we read about ourselves. I don't Google my name. I never do that, So
right.